Good day guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll show you guys how to achieve this beautiful neckline. It is actually a yoke neckline, but an open yoke or a boot yoke. I don't know what to call it, but I'll go straight to the point. I will not show you the sewing, how I joined the busty part, but I will illustrate how I got this. So I after joining my busty, I'll place my tape rule on my shoulder, and from there you will determine the depth of the yoke, the depth of the yoke or the neckline. So my client doesn't want hers to show, that's why I marked 17 but 7. But if you want it to come down more, you can mark 9 or 8. So from that point where I mark the 7, I'll cut straight. If you want a sweetheart neckline, you can make yours a sweetheart neckline, but to be on the safer side, just make it straight. So after doing that, I'll introduce a pattern paper and I'll fold it using the yoke that I cut out initially. I'll trace out this neckline. So I introduce a pattern paper, and the next thing that I will do now is to measure my shoulder. In case the yoke shoulder is not up to what I want, I have to remeasure my shoulder, and I made it 8. So I'll introduce that yoke that I cut out from that bustier. I'll introduce the yoke. The reason why I finished joining before cutting, I did a normal princess dart with a shoulder. The reason why I joined before cutting is this yoke will give me an idea of how wide my yoke for this neckline will be. So I'll measure my shoulder and I'll just illustrate the armhole. So the reason why I use this yoke is for it to serve as a guide of how wide or how long my yoke will be. And I added extra 1 inch to it, or extra 0.5 inch. So I'll do the normal round neck. Remember that neckline has a round neck. The main neck is a small round neck, and I made it 3 by 4. 3 is the wideness and 4 inches is the depth. So the next thing that I will do now is to trace out the triangular shape, that 2 triangular stuff on the neckline. But before I do that, I will cut out this one so that everything will not be looking complicated to you. So I've cut that out. So from the shoulder, from the center front, you come in by 1 inch or half inch. It is supposed to be half inch, but I'll advise you make it 0.75 or 1 inch, because we're still going to use half an inch on both sides to turn it with the lining. Then from the shoulder, I'll come down by 4 inches and I'll make a dot there. So from the point where I measure 0.75, I'll connect to the point where I measured 4 inches, and from there I'll make another V shape. I'll make this a V shape. You can determine how wide you want your V to be. After doing that, I'll cut out this shape, and when you open, you will have something like this. I know that the middle one is a bit wide, but the reason why I made it this way is because you will still take out half an inch for joining. Remember, you will still use half an inch to turn this with your lining. So the more you are turning it with the lining, the thinner this part will become, and the V shape will also be wider. So I'm trying to illustrate. If you place it on your neckline, this is what you will get. You can take the V up if you want, but for me this one is moderate. trying to test run what I cut to make sure that it is okay. So you use half inch to join here, so don't be bothered for now. Next thing that I will do is to cut out this pattern on my paper. I'm using a velvet fabric for this. I'll cut it out on my paper. Guys, I'll advise you to add a hard interface on your fabric before cutting this out, because working with velvet can be so annoying. We all know that velvet can be so annoying sometimes. So I'll advise you add a hard interface on this fabric before cutting it, so that whatever you cut will be exactly what you have at the end of the day. But if you cut it without as you can see, I've added my heart. If you cut it without the hard interface, it might be wider than what you cut initially. I added a hard interface on my lining and on my fabric, and as you can see, I did not trace out the shape on my lining. I left my lining blank like that, and it is wider than the yoke. The reason why I did this is for me to have enough working space. After joining, I'll trim. After joining, I'll trim. So I finished joining the neckline and I'm trimming it. The next thing that I will do is to notch this neckline. So after notching, I'll go ahead and top stitch with my sewing machine. I'll top stitch on the lining. So after doing that, I'll keep my lining this way, and I'll go ahead and turn these V shapes that I have here. I'm sorry I didn't position my camera so well. I didn't know that it wasn't filming the sewing part, but I'm so sorry guys about that. But I still believe that you'll be able to get what I am saying. So after joining, I'll trim. I'm done with that side. You will not turn the center of this V, like the center of this V. You leave it open because you will turn it out from there. And if you join it now, you realize that it will be very, very thick when joining it to your main bustier. So you just turn the V part and leave the center V. Then after that, you will notch this V, this middle of the V, and you will trace out the remaining lining. Like I told you, I did not cut out this exactly on my lining. I have my reason why I left the lining blank. I didn't cut it so that to give me enough space for turning this thing. If I cut it exactly, if had it been I cut it initially, I might find it hard to turn. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and turn out this yoke. So I'm trying to turn it out. So after turning, guys, this is how it will look like. Then you go ahead and iron. Give it a very nice press so that it will be flat. And remember to trace out the remaining lining. And after doing that, after the ironing and all that, you place it on your bustier and you would sew with lining. And after turning, this is what you will have. So I'll go ahead and join this to my down part and add any embellishment of your choice, and this is what you have at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Bye.